In my previous video, I talked about what the shadow is. Today, let's talk about how the shadow reveals itself. The shadow starts forming in infancy and continues through adolescence and into early adulthood. It is a process of continuously accumulating repressed aspects of the personality. Robert Bly called it the long bag we drag behind us. During childhood, depending on what is considered unacceptable in the environment, the child may repress unwanted parts of their personality. So, if anger is not considered good in a family and a child is angry, the adult around them may say, "Why are you angry? Good kids are never angry. Put a smile on that face." And then the kid may repress that anger. And then when the kid grows up, they may have issues with confrontation or assertiveness, and they may have a tendency to become people pleasers. Another example, if the family was very disciplined, the child may suppress feelings of spontaneity, and then when they grow up, they may have tendency towards fear of authority or being rebellious. If there was neglect in childhood, then the child may develop feelings of being unworthy as a shadow aspect, and then when they grow up, they might have trust issues or intimacy issues in their relationships. During adolescence, due to the need for conforming to what our peers in the classroom are doing, the popular kids, we may tend to deny undesirable aspects of ourselves, though so it may look like denying physical aspects that don't meet the beauty standards or that don't meet being cool, and that may lead to feelings of low self esteem. During early adulthood, depending on society and cultural conditioning, we may repress certain aspects within us, maybe our wild instincts or immoral tendencies, greed, lust, or even some positive qualities like creative expression if it was not acceptable by our environment. When we create this split in us because of what is acceptable and what is expected, we start operating from one side and denying the other. But this psychological energy within us, it wants a balance, so that's why the shadow side starts surfacing from time to time. It may take various expressions. The shadow may show itself in the form of projection. Projection is when we see in others what we don't want to acknowledge in ourselves. It may take both positive and negative forms. So, some examples are when a father who habitually lies accuses his son of being a liar. Someone who has a hidden immoral streak in themselves judges someone else harshly for being immoral. Someone with low self esteem blames others for ignoring them, while deep down they may feel they are not good enough to be acknowledged by others. Positive forms of projection may look like when we are awed, inspired, and motivated by someone else because they feel so charismatic, they have these leadership qualities that we feel we don't have in ourselves. Or it may take the form of being jealous or envious of someone else who looks really beautiful, has a great body, and so we judge them, we are critical of them so that we feel a little bit better about ourselves because deep down we feel we are not good enough and we could never be as charismatic as that leader or as beautiful as that supermodel. The shadow may reveal itself in form of slips or gaffes during normal conversations, and that may betray the inner feelings that the person has. So, an example is when someone may call someone, their current partner, by their ex's name. A famous example is from the TV show Friends, when during the wedding ceremony, Ross says, "I, Ross, take the Rachel," instead of Emily. Another example is when someone doesn't like the other person, they may accidentally say, "mad to meet you," instead of "glad to meet you." So these are again ways that shadow reveals itself. Other examples are when people may say things or behave out of character. So, someone who is a nice person suddenly has an outburst when the waiter doesn't get their order right, or someone who goes crazy during a road rage incident, or someone who just blurts out vehemence during an office party after having a few drinks. Self sabotage is another way how the shadow may reveal itself. So, in this case, people unconsciously create scenarios which cause them to fail. An example could be when someone who grew up in a volatile environment may unnecessarily, unconsciously create drama in their life, and that may cost them relationships or even jobs. Another example is when people start developing maladaptive coping mechanisms like gambling or drinking so that they can keep their dark side in check. Another example is when people play the victim. So, someone who does not want to take responsibility of the situation or does not want to acknowledge their negative traits, they may play the victim by blaming the other person. An example is when a spouse who is abusive blames their partner for making them behave in abusive ways because how they are acting and creating these situations for them. The shadow may reveal itself in form of conflicts in relationship. So someone who has a low self-esteem may blame their partner for flirting with others or cheating on them because deep down they feel that they are not good enough to have this partner in their lives. Or it may take the form of a boss who has repressed his need for unwinding and letting go, and then that boss blames the employee for being lazy. The shadow may surface in form of mood swings. So a person who has these unacknowledged negative traits may just show up as small outbursts of jealousy or anger, and suddenly they feel irritated and they may have mood swings, and they consciously do not understand why they feel this way, but their shadow aspect may be trying to express themselves, and so these situations can occur. A more intense form of the shadow revealing itself is called shadow possession. In this case, the repressed parts take over the conscious mind, and the individual is completely operated by the shadow. An example of this at a smaller scale would be a person being miserable no matter what situation they are in. No one or nothing can make them happy. They are constantly complaining, blaming others. They have been completely taken over by their shadow, where they feel they are the victim and they cannot do anything about it, and everyone is out to get them. A bigger scale manifestation of this could be when normal people suddenly go on a spree and commit these acts of horror or violence. We sometimes see this in news where someone who was a normal person suddenly acted way out of line and created something really ghastly. These are the cases when the shadow has completely taken over the individual. Another way the shadow reveals itself is in the form of biases and prejudices that we have, that we inherit from the culture or the family or our nation, where it becomes an us versus them scenario where we are the good guys and others are bad. The enemy is outside us, they are the evildoers, and we are good people. So, this forms the collective shadow. Another form is dreams, where shadow communicates to us in terms of patterns or symbols or in form of people or animals, where the parts of the unconscious are trying to deliver a message to us. Now, the unconscious is irrational, illogical, so the way it tries to communicate to the conscious aspect is through symbolism. So, an example could be if you are seeing a dark forest, it might mean that you are venturing into your shadow to find out more about yourself. Or it may be if you see a dog in your dream, it may mean that you want to look at your shadow and trust that it's going to be loyal to you. So, there are dreams and symbolism that are available in Carl Jung's work, and you can look it up. So, these are some of the ways that the shadow can reveal itself. If we are vigilant, we can catch these and then take steps to integrate so that we can create a balance and not be caught off guard. Carl Jung said, I'd rather be whole than be good. Thanks for watching. Bye.